We have some salmon on deck. We're about to get into this. We've had this for a minute. Jaclyn Hill, Skin Perfecting Blurring Tint in the shade Medium Tan. Medium tan. Maybe it's more tan than medium. Her shade range is not the most inclusive, so why is the orientation locked? Oh dear. Well, we'll do our best. As you see, I've been trying to help out Mr. Plant. I took a little chopstick because the top of the plant was broken. You know, Mariska Hargitay's father, I believe, runs a plant shop in West Hollywood. And he, you know, when plants are damaged, he gives them away. So this, I think it's like a fig tree. This was a stick. And, you know, House of Tanya with the green thumb, you know what it is. We got it back on track. We are, you know, spraying on a little rose water and glycerin. Classic, soothing, and pure, right? Moisturizer you can trust. Harsh weather defense because it has glycerin, which is another humectant like the very much hyped hyaluronic acid. Glycerin's super cheap though. And rose water, you can actually eat it. There's a really fabulous South Asian dessert called ras malai. It's like milk curd in rose water with chopped pistachios, of all things. So good. One of my favorite desserts from the Indian food repertoire. So we look good and tired. We look like we have no makeup on, which is the fact. We can add a little bit more of this Laneige Water Bank Hydro Essence, right? Just to make sure we're giving a nice moist base to this product to kind of, you know, see what it do. Jaclyn Hill, so much drama, so much Marlena Estelle, so much, so much, you know, what was it, that lady in Canada that originally had the brand that was called Cozy, and then allegedly Jaclyn Hill came along and jacked the name without permission. That doesn't seem very sporting, but you know, that's what happened, right? People do all kinds of things. They're gonna do what they want and not respect whether it's trademark, copyright, or the fact that you were using that name first. It's kind of a shame. But you know, when I can get Jaclyn Hill's products for cheap, I can't say I understood what all she was up to. You know, I believed it. I believed it was her own brand and that she was the CEO. I believed it, right? I kind of stumbled upon all this drama during the middle of the big P because of the big C, and, you know, was like, oh, well, that looks promising. It certainly has a rich golden tone, and you know what I like. I like a very flexible silicone sponge. We're not wearing primer. We just have glycerin and rose water on and some serum. We washed our brushes from yesterday and we're trying to rock and roll. This very much looks like it's my color. Ooh, ooh, Jaclyn Hill. Now, we know it's Morphe, and, you know, I definitely appreciate all the products I've ever gotten my hands on, right? The only things that don't work for me are Nika K. I've tried and tried, such cute little palettes. The colors, the undertones, it literally looks like talcum powder, like straight white cornstarch on my face. I've tried and tried, I've cried and cried. It didn't do me a bit of good, so I had to let it go. Do I have a Jaclyn Hill concealer around? That is the question, because I actually really like this. You know, I've seen a couple of people over on the Clock app using Jaclyn Hill products, and that made me curious. I was like, oh, is it okay to still use the products? Is it, you know, is it frowned upon? Is it a cancellation, or is it a people having questions about her business practices and, you know, how dirty she did, you know, her friend allegedly, right? Leaving that poor woman holding palettes that couldn't be sold in an unsigned contract because it was more allegedly lucrative or better to go on and forge a business relationship with Morphe. But now Morphe went through bankruptcy and has been sold, and now they're saying Jaclyn Hill ain't no priority to them anymore, and they don't give a damn. And isn't that ironic? I think Jaclyn Hill is going to be fine, and certainly she has a lot of equity with her fans, but it is troubling to hear the difference between what's true and what she claimed. This is a fine, it seems like a dewy finish foundation. Do we need more anywhere? We did not underpaint. We just went in raw just to see what this complexion product. But I feel like this is one of the few times where the foundation and my neck are one. Like for a change, because Lord knows sometimes I get into some products and I go all the way and I'm like, oh, I like it so much. But then I've been played. I end up looking like a fool. Oh, look, I do have a Jaclyn Hill concealer. Look at me. Matchy, matchy. Ooh. As much as I try to be organized, I probably need to declutter. What else do I have? Oh. I have another bottle of the same complexion product. I don't think I've ever used it, but in any case, this is fair light yellow. So if this is medium tan, I'd be curious to know what the other shades are in the range. But I'm very pleased that I can at least do some brand on brand makeup, right? If we were going to work, if we were going to an event, could we do credible makeup with these products? That is the question. Oh, and I do have a Jaclyn Hill powder. This one is sheer medium. I believe this comes in medium, light, and dark. And then I might have a blush, a powder blush around somewhere. But anyway, let's get into it with this. Flexible sponge. It's getting a little corner in there and trying to brighten the brighten areas. I don't feel like I have a lot of darkness, but we follow the protocols. Put a little droplet in the highlight places. People always say let it dry down. I'm an eager beaver. I don't really do that. It doesn't really seem to make that great of a difference. It is light. It is yellow. So I have great expectations. Can use it to kind of start contour highlighting the nose, those dark corners of the nose, right? Get that in the inner corner. Brighten it up. Should we drag it all the way across the lid? I don't know. We didn't use a whole lot, but does this mean it's the end of Jaclyn Hill as we know it? Does this mean it's like no sorry, no more of these products being manufactured? Or does it just simply mean what's there is there and what isn't won't be replenished? I would love to know. I'm sure there are primary sources that I could consult about that. I just don't know offhand what they are. I feel like maybe this kind of news gets discussed in Women's Wear Daily or some kind of like beauty magazine. If you happen to know, please make a comment in the chat. But it is fascinating. I remember when I first saw the Jaclyn Hill Vault palettes at Marshall's and I was like, oh, cute. And I checked today and I'd gotten 3 of them, but not the 4th. And I wonder what the 4th was. So, that's a very dainty amount of concealer. We put it on the chin, these little areas under the nose. I really should find out what this anatomy is called. We brightened under the eye. I wonder if we should get a drop or two on the lid. What eyeshadow should we go in with? You know, I wouldn't be embarrassed. We got some on the jaws. What should we contour with? Do we have a Jaclyn Hill bronzer? That is the question. Whew. I can't say that I took a lot of time getting ready to go live. I just was like, oh, I did my clock apping and I should, you know, come on and do some, you know, I should get on here. Try to get back to business. What kind of cream or stick bronzer could we use to contour? You know, I'd gotten jiggy early on and thought, oh, I can use these dark shades of foundation to do contour, and then the undertone was off and it wasn't the right thing. Now, here is a Revolution London. Says it's a contour stick. That doesn't look contoury enough, right? If we try it, I'm sure it won't give us satisfaction. Oops. Or will it? Dun dun dun. Wrong again. This is the Revolution London Contour and Highlight Stick in dark. That's not terrible. So we can also do the jaw and make some gentle strokes under the chin, right? We don't want to be too heavy-handed, right? I always get suspicious when I see people, you know, they do their contouring or highlighting and they use a lot of product and it looks so juicy and dramatic, but then they cut away and it's like, well, you just put big football player smears under your eyes or on your, you know, cheek, and now we don't get to see what happened. This is a nice product because it has corner, right? So we can do a very careful Dewey nose bridge, little C shape, not all the way down. Take some volume out of the tip of the nose, two little lines in V, right? And then a little line. The unreliability of my internet can allow me to blend this in a way that will look credible. It's not a jaw. You don't want to do away with it, but you want to be into larger. I don't hate that at all. Miss Jaclyn Hill, Morphe. You know, people talk a lot of ish about her and Morphe, but, you know, again, as a makeup newbie, it's not like I'm in the Natasha Denona Armani world. I am kind of, you know, learning as I go. But I don't hate the products that I've been able to get hold of affordably. And I do believe in, you know, using them. Now, I'm trying not to make a big mess with this line kind of across the nose, making a bit of a tip to suggest that the nose upturns the bottom, right? We don't want to smear it all around. We want to get rid of the brightness in the center. We want to be left with that little exclamation point shape. And I don't think that looks bad at all. May have gotten a little bit kind of wider than we initially applied it, but that's okay. Sculpt it. And what I like to do on the forehead is two kind of half head, right? Some people do sculpt in the neck bone. We do snip. I do believe we might have some Jaclyn Hill lip. We have plucked lip cushion. It sounds very innocent because certainly Miss Girl promised a lot to her friends. We got a lot of satisfaction out of this Iman lip liner in Cocoa yesterday. So let's go back in with that and then we'll get our Jaclyn Hill lip color on and then see where we are with things. Again, we want something that is a bit naturalistic so that in the light of day, even our worst hater wouldn't have anything rude to say about our makeup. You always have to think about your haters, what they're going to say, if they watch, if they record, even with you in the same room. We know how they do. But a lot of those people are irrelevant. Oh, I've been having a time with one of my ex-colleagues who went to Harvard, right? In in opposition to the last years of knowing him, I finally stopped just being polite in response to his misogyny. And, I'm suggesting he read Bell Hooks, right? I've met Bell Hooks. She was on the board of directors of a philanthropic group I worked for years ago. And she insisted to the heiress that ran it that I get sent to China. So she's the reason I went to Beijing and Japan and Bali on this like incredible life-changing trip, right? For a UN conference. Anyway, she's a brilliant scholar, rest in peace. And I'm suggesting to old dude, like, really, you are a variation of the female of the species, like all men. So, any of this fantasy that you are superior intellectually, physically, all this is just, you're deluded. And it really isn't good for your social life, right? Blaming college women for family planning issues when they're no more responsible for those incidents than the men are. They just happen to be the person who has to either raise the child or not. Just so many hateful things to say, and it was that kind of like gotcha tone that I just got tired of it. I listen to other women. Ooh, it's a mess. It's actually more rather than I thought it would be. It's definitely a dry ass, definitely a dry lip color. It's gonna be kind of wrinkled lip, but it's much more colorful than I would have guessed from the packaging. I feel lucky to have gotten my hands on these. It seems like there might not still be a pipeline of Jaclyn products. We're just using the end of lip pencil to kind of not really it. We're just kind of tapping it so that you still see that brown on the border, but you're not gonna erase that, but you're gonna marry these colors together and then think about whether you wanna leave it dry or you wanna gloss it, right? If you're at work, we can take whatever's left and dot it on the cheeks. We always know that we can go to unreliable internet. How dare you play me? But the nose sculpt is looking obvious, but it's looking definitely sculpted. It gives the illusion of a thinner nose bridge. I don't think there's something I can do to change the shape of my nose, but it's more like you're giving a stylized version of your face. This is Loverboy from Miss Jaclyn Hill, and it's a little bit kind of coral colored. Now, we do have the option to lay down Dr. Perricone first and see where we get with it, right? Always reliable, Dr. Perricone. I always intend to look at him online and see what makeup products are available, but then I always forget about it. For some reason, I'm roasting hot. It could be the pajama pants that I have on down below. Not to shatter your illusions where you think I'm so elegant. But, I appreciate taking the time to just experiment with this makeup so that, when it's time to be about our business, like we have a really clear idea of what this set of products will give us. And I think it gives you a pretty kind of ladylike, healthy look right? We haven't utterly tapped away our contour. We still could, but we're just adding some color on the cheeks, on the chin. Should we use another little dot of it? You know, sometimes I get too ambitious with this and it doesn't ever look clownish because it's not that dark. It is kind of a water-based product, but you know, again, for my complexion, I'm surprised that Miss Jaclyn Hill has products that work, and that, you know, I've had this Dr. Perricone on hand, but it's never been a go-to. I feel like the problem is it's liquid, so I'd be nervous to carry it around because I broke the top of one because I twisted it shut too hard because I, you know, didn't want it to like get open and spill. But this lip combo is kind of bomb. Okay, Miss Jaclyn Hill. Morphe. Allegedly, they are no more. The collab, she's no longer a priority to the company. They have restructured. I believe different divisions may have been bought by two different hedge funds. Am I right about that? All right, so where are we in our makeup? What are we doing here? Should we just get a bronzer on our eyes? If we don't have anything Jaclyn Hill, we could use, we have this Essence Matte Bronzing Palette. Love it so much. Available at Target. And then we have this Tulum palette from our friends at BH Cosmetics, which no one talks about these days. This is a little bit orange. And then we have Bali. We did get into Urban Decay Wild West yesterday. What's Bali? Oh, Bali is even worse. It's like pink and stuff. That ain't it. Whew. We definitely have to put something on our lids, but what shall it be? Should we grab one of the dark tones of, ooh, bitch. Look at this, W7. We have a few different W7 palettes. Ooh, I forgot about these. Ooh, and my favorite one, Enchanted. Ooh, I have a fantasy of getting my hands on the original. I'll say no more. This is Natural and Berry, and then the other one is Ultraviolet. What do you think about that? With this lip color? That's a bit dark, but it speaks to me. It's like going back in time and reading a book that you read before, because I definitely... Ooh, maybe let's try Delicious. I think I've liked Dusk Till Dawn. I think this is supposed to be a dupe for a Huda Beauty palette, but W7, you know, again, for the newbie makeup person, for makeup that you could bring to work and not feel terrible if people jack it, it's kind of bomb. Now, where did the little brush that lives inside the palette go? Here is a double-ended brush, but I don't know if it's the right one. Well, we can just rock with other brushes because we've got plenty. This is an eye crease brush from, it doesn't seem, oh, Sonia Kashuk. Look at that. And it doesn't have gold that scratches off on the on the hilt of it. In any case, what are we doing? What are we doing in the crease? Should we go orange or should we go pink? Should we go bold? Let's go bold and get into this raspberry because, uh-oh, maybe that was too much. Anyway, it comes with a mirror in the palette, which is great, even though it's made out of paper. It's very light, and I think I got these 3 palettes in a set for $10 in Burbank, you know, when I had to go over there for a health test. Remember that? Remember the health tests that we constantly had to take. How can it be that it's all over now? I just don't, I have like a hard time believing that just like that, the snap of a finger, it's all over and done. How can it be? Is it? Is it true? They say small circles. I like a tapping motion, but small circles will blend, I think. We're trying to be very careful. No mistakes, because I know you would not accept that, right? Even though we're on YouTube. It's not hot, not yet. The window is open, but I was trying to clean the carpet. We get some water intrusion when when it rains, and it was raining for a good long while. Here in Cali, the rain, 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 rain. You saw it do a lot of damage up north, but here it was more like just endless rain, and every barrier method that I attempted didn't work. And so it left, what I thought was that, oh, I'll put, that carpet fresh type powder and then just boxes and boxes, and then I'd sweep it up of baking soda just so that the water and the kind of like filth of the water would have something to kind of bind to and absorb to, and it wouldn't just kind of keep wandering through the carpet. It kind of left a like nasty little border, and I think it's just always been that way. I feel like the folks that dealt with it before didn't really care. They didn't really say anything. Well, that is a super bright crease color. We may have made a terrible mistake, but listen, we feel like we're getting into some luscious massacre kind of territory with how bright this is. But I hope everyone's enjoying Pride and, taking pride, right? Your identity should not be something that other people attempt to shame you about. And so this dude who was married and who has children, really, you can just tell he's gone through an entire lifetime thinking that he can threaten and, send threatening messages and put his hands on women and then play victim and, do that whole I'm rubber, you're glue. It's like nobody is saying they hate men. No one is saying you're a bad person because of your gender, but that's the first thing he wants to claim. But again, like most narcissists, he wants to deflect and deny. And, you have to kind of back up from the whole situation and be like, wow, I can either pretend and go along and play dumb, or I can just dispense with this nonsense because, oh, look, it's double-ended. Is it this for the outer V or this for the outer V? Maybe let's try this one. Kind of a chocolatey brown, but just so kind of like insanely offensive. Ooh, that's nice together. Can you see that? Ooh, that's nice together. I'm filling the whole screen with my big face. But just the whole attitude that, oh, I have a right to be insulting. And again, I know this fool from work. It's just kind of shocking to me how people at work really, really, really think. A, they think that they're slick, that you don't know that they're being insulting to you. And B, they think that it's A-okay. That, it's okay to insult you and then, play it off like it's A-okay, but it isn't. But then, like most things, when you do it, oh, then it's a problem. When you do it, it's not nice. When you do it, and I think that this applies to a lot of, what's going on in our country right now. This brown is stunning. We may have gone too far with the raspberry, but this brown, oh, W7 doing the damn thing. But, you know, it's cool when he does it. It's cool when he insults me and, you know, talks crazy misogyny, misogynoir. It's cool when he does it. But, you know, I was listening to Spiritual Whistleblower over there on the Clock app. She might be here on YouTube as well. I've never seen her here, but, you know, she just talks about a lot of people who deal with women are kind of jealous of women, but in their heart, they really do want to be a bad bitch. And I was like, wow, this guy, he's so obsessed with women and putting women in their place. He does want to be a bad bitch. He wants to be more important than women. He wants, you know, I think what he had in his marriage was a father-in-law who kind of paid for stuff and provided the nanny and the down payment and all that. And that allowed him to front like he was the provider, but he wasn't. It was his father in law. I know a few dudes like that in Cali. But when that situation fell apart, he couldn't, you know, get the wife once she got her degree to, you know, go to work and let him stay home, you know, to quote, start his business or probably not do anything. He felt like, oh, it's my time to rest. If, you know, if grandpa is going to pay the bills, I can just, you know, take it easy, you know, and I know lunch at the Harvard Club, always on the golf course. Ask me how I know, but it's fine. But, you know, why make the choice to insult me? I'm nowhere in his vicinity. I'm not, you know, I'm strictly available. You make it unpleasant for me. What incentive do I have to keep even speaking to you? For what? Like, it's not accept the way that this guy, you know, speaks to me and this to blend out the edges, hopefully. Some people like to take a wipe and make I feel like if I go too crazy with like angles and point, I look insane. And I would never go to work that way. I just feel very self-conscious. It's too glam. Just I'm not trying to be that glam. I'm just trying to do a outer corner, a little wash of color. I have thought maybe just a stroke of bronzer, but that would be boring. We have stories to tell. But you know, again, if that hurts my feelings, that's insulting to my gender. You would think that they would make the correction, but at the very opposite, he like, yeah, you know, bitch, yeah, and really noir is and didn't take the note that I'm supposed to keep lining up for it. Like, why would I? I don't hate myself. I don't hate men. I don't subscribe to any of that. But this complexion product's looking awesome. We could do more of a blend on this contour. Just bounce it out. But what I like about a silicone sponge is it bounces and blends without lifting the product off. You just have to be careful that you don't just start smearing it because then you'll lose the difference between the highlight area and the deeper area, right? It has a luminous finish to it. You may have gone overboard with this kind of affordable, you know. This, do we have shimmer in this palette? I guess we do. There's a pink one, but then this one is a very subtle one. Well, it's like a buttery, it almost isn't even a shimmer, but we'll see. Let's try to be small with it. Small and intentional. If nothing else, it'll give us a pale lid. But you know, I can say insulting things about your gender. I can make insulting remarks too. But when I do it, it's not fun and he stops responding. And it's like I'm kind of proud of myself that I didn't just block him, which I've done before for years. But you know, I'm trying to make it a teachable moment. I'm trying to say, hey, that's not cool. I get it that, you know, everyone's having a hard time and that there are difficulties. And, you know, sometimes it's fun to project your unhappiness on the people that you know, but it's disrespectful and start screaming. And then when the cops come, they don't know what happened. The one woman I saw today, what do you mean? I paid for my ticket. I don't know what's going on. Apparently, she'd gotten aggro with the ticket agent. They had changed her flight. She got on the flight. Now, you know, you've gone through this. Got on the flight, sat behind someone, and then was just going to town kicking her chair. Right? That thing where you're like, well, if I complain and then the person keeps doing it, I'm going to get angrier and angrier. But then if you complain and you bring the whatever air hostesses, right? You never know which way to go, especially if you don't know if you can change your seat. So this is a pretty color. It's not as shimmery as I thought it would be, but it definitely gives you some brightness, kind of a little bright semicircle inside is doing. And whether, you know, as a daytime palette, this is great because it can give you brightness and give you color, but not necessarily take you to a place of like shimmer, because sometimes the shimmer gets out of control. So from here, yesterday, we really did this brighten up essence banana powder, right? You can see the dewiness of the skin. You can see what's going on around the nose, but there's a lot. It's just, you know what it is? It's like the depth is off. The brown is great, but the kind of magenta is so saturated. I don't even know, maybe I'll use this blush brush to just give a more aggressive blend on it, just to take it down into it won't look like I've got magenta bat wings on my eyes. Or maybe I have a choice. Once it's laid on the skin, it's there. You know, you live and learn. But if you are at work and maybe not at the bar, this might not be the level of eyeshadow that you want. But, you know, sometimes we just have to live with it. Uh-oh. I am searching around for like the right kind of tools and those lucite drawers and things to organize makeup. So before we powder, should we blush over this liquid blush? This was my makeup forever. From Daiso, the Japanese dollar store, this sort of shimmery pink. For old time's sake, with the little brush, let's see what it's doing. Right, it's not going to be dark, but this was my road dog when I knew nothing. And believe me, before we were all locked up at home, I didn't know much. Let's not use this. Let's use our angled blush brush, right? It's on there. Get that on the skin. For if you're yellow undertone, orange undertone, I find a lot of the products at Daiso work super pink on the skin. You know, like if I lay a blue toned pink on my skin, it'll just sit on top and look suspicious. We can also do this, we can do something about this shadow between the perspiration on my skin and I don't know. It's just not just looks so crazy. If we had a Zoom call, people might question us like, hey, where are you going? And because it's from Daiso, you don't gotta be cheap with it. It has a bit of shimmer in it, but not doesn't get insane. It just looks alive. In bright sunlight, it might look like makeup, but it looks much more natural, right? So, but this is what we rocked with back in the day, right? My commitment to collect organize it. All blush lives in one spot. Use it, right? This with fresh eyes, it doesn't look as terrible as I thought it did here. Collect all of your usages and prepare give you that heavy powder texture. Whereas this, it brightens and it just it kind of, you know, I do love the what is the NYX? What is that NYX matte product? It says it sets matte highlights. So we did on the cheeks, look, so that the pinkness of the lip and the eyes, and then there's a, we're not wearing any eyeliner, so we pop that on, right? We have these very inexpensive liners. You just want to practice your look so that Zoom call, if it's a business meeting, what it's almost like wearing a tie with a suit. You just want to look intentional. Yes, you could wear nothing on your face. And it is interesting to see people on social media, out at the protest. I like to kind of give a little extra eyelash on the end. I don't want to do some big extreme wing, but just like think of it when you turn your head, it's like another eyelash in each direction. It's a little inner corner flick, so it kind of suggests that your eyes are bigger than they are. You know, I listen with interest to all the people that curl the eyelashes and add eyelashes and do a lot of mascara. I don't like mascara. You can put it on, take it off, and it's dynamite. It's exactly what you need. Little grease pencil, the paler brown. Daiso, if you have one in your area, definitely check it out for makeup. And, you know, you're ready to rock. You've done a credible makeup look. You are keeping track of your brushes and implements. You are, you know, thinking about the things that fell on the floor, but you feel like, hey, I not only rescued this plant and did a little chopstick surgery, but I made a credible, beautiful springtime, summer makeup look that would be appropriate for brunch. A brush and brush your brows up. Your brows lift. And think about whether you want to add a pomade or a lip or something like that. If not, then, you know, just brushing them through. Sometimes my brows definitely end up in direct cotton fallout, something. You can use the abrasiveness of it to lifted brow. Sometimes it's that it's for brows. It's not all drawn on. It's lip liner, but maybe not. Suggested to old boy that he read and report on 5 bell hooks books to get over his misogynoir, and he has resisted, which is disappointing. But, you know, some people cling to their misguided ideas of superiority. It doesn't matter how many relationships he destroys, how many friendships, colleague, co-workerships. He's just on a tear, and I get it. People are having a hard time, but that doesn't mean I have to take it. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Somehow I got stuck in this orientation. Usually I do landscape, but it wouldn't let me tonight. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. House of Tanya, Plant Hospital, and Makeup Atelier. Bye!